When did you know you were going to be on the subs bench?
I was in the squad yesterday and I thought there was a chance, but Harry came up to me and whispered in my ear as I was sitting in the change room about an hour and a half before the game, said you're going to be sub, and I couldn't really believe it. I was sitting there like shaking for about half an hour, but it was nice.
Well, it's a great moment for a young man. It's two number 26s and you will not find an older and a younger person. Gordon Strachan's coming on, and this is...
Most professional football players have fond memories of where it all began, their boyhood club. The bond between football fans and one of their own is a football love story. For West Ham fans and their former player Frank Lampard, however, there is a mutual disdain.
He's going to be a West Ham player, or were there any other clubs interested?
At the death, just before I signed for West Ham, I went to Tottenham, made an offer, and I was at Arsenal when I was younger, so it was a chance I might go to Tottenham, but really West Ham's in my blood and I was always going to come here, I think, in the end.
We're really glad you came.
Yeah.
Thanks, Frank.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Everybody knows who Super Frank is, widely regarded as one of the greatest midfielders of all time and one of Chelsea's and the Premier League's greatest ever players. Lampard holds the record of the most Premier League goals, 177 by a midfielder in its history. He made his debut for the Hammers in 1995, the club where his father Frank Sr. also used to play. He went on to make 148 appearances, scoring 24 goals and registering 12 assists from 1995 to 2001. However, the Chelsea legend believes that he was disliked on the terraces because the fans thought he was only in the squad due to his family connections. Being Frank Lampard's son brought with it different rules to those which apply to every other player, he explained in his autobiography. A section of the support believed I wasn't good enough for the starting lineup, so I was put on the bench as some kind of favour, and they let me know this every time I moved to do a warm-up. His uncle Harry Redknapp, who was also his manager, set the record straight when he was questioned at a West Ham fan forum of the favouritism shown towards his nephew. Redknapp defended the young midfielder and declared that Frank is headed to the very top.
Well, the kid came into the side and did well, you know, but I'm telling you now, and I maybe now I didn't want to say this in front of him, but he will go right to the very top. Right to the very top.
Well, there you are, you heard it here first.
The worst moment of Lampard's West Ham career came when he broke his leg as an 18-year-old and heard some cheers from his own supporters. The abuse was so bad that he admits he did consider giving up on football altogether. In another quote from his autobiography, Lampard says, "I've tried not to think too much about what happened on March 15th, 1997, but it's hard not to. We were away at Aston Villa when I went to challenge for a ball and caught my studs in the turf. Pain shot through my leg and I knew straight away it was broken. As I was being carried off around the visitors' end at Villa Park, I recall cheering and some applause. It made me feel sick to the stomach. It got to the stage when I thought about jacking in football altogether. I would rather work 9 to 5 with my mates than take abuse from 30,000 people every other week. Now, I have won the Premiership with Chelsea and was runner-up to Ronaldinho as World Player of the Year. It has become harder for the critics to handle," he said. "I remember when Joe Cole first came to Chelsea, he would turn away in disappointment if West Ham lost. I would smile. That's how deeply I felt. I wanted West Ham to lose. Now, I don't even look for their results." He went on to recover from the horrific injury, then cement his place in the first team, which subsequently earned his transfer to Chelsea Football Club in 2001 for £13 million. Games against the Irons often brought the best out of Frank Lampard. In 19 games against West Ham, he scored 7 goals and registered 5 assists. At Chelsea, he went on to earn his place amongst the greatest ever players the Premier League has witnessed. Lampard is the only midfielder in the top 10 goal scorers in the Premier League era. 41 of those goals were scored outside the box, which is the most in the league's history. He is Chelsea's all-time highest goal scorer and assister with 201 goals and 150 assists. Lampard has a valid reason for having more than a sense of dislike for his boyhood club. During games, large sections of fans would taunt him about his weight and his connections at the club, to the point where it became oppressive and personal. Lampard's agent vowed he would never play for the Hammers again, and according to him, he left the club feeling gutted and betrayed. Once he nearly walked away from football. Instead, Frank Lampard became a Premier League legend and one of the greatest scoring midfielders ever, and has left West Ham fans forever wondering what could have been if they didn't turn on one of their own.